Welcome to Chapter Sass, the podcast where we deep dive into the books that make you blush, gasp, and maybe even think a little. I'm your host, Season, and with every book, I'll be joined with a new co-host with their own hot take. From spicy romances to messy love triangles and all the glorious chaos in between, we're here with a fresh perspective to unpack the stories we love, question what we think we know, and explore how the book speaks to us. Things might even get a little sassy. This episode is rated mature and will contain spoilers. Let's get into the first chapter. Welcome back, everyone. We will be covering Blood of Hercules. This is the Villain of Lore series, book 1, with Jasmine Mas, covering chapters 11 through 15. As a reminder, this will contain spoilers, and this episode is rated mature. I have my guest, my co-host, Danielle. Hello, Danielle.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. It's a day, y'all. It's a week. Let's be real. It's been a week.
It has been a week. I literally could not agree with that statement more.
Yeah.
I feel like I took a lot of gummies this week. I normally don't. It's been a week. It's been a week. Yeah. So what are you drinking, Danielle?
So I am drinking a cocktail that I've been working on. I call it a dreamsicle.
Oh,
This is Thai iced tea that I make, and instead of doing all sweetened condensed milk, it's half sweetened condensed milk and half caramelized coconut milk. And then I brew the Thai tea, blend all of that together, and then it gets a mandarin vodka from a Arkansas producer called Rocktown and a little bit of lemon juice.
oh,
Yeah.
I want to try that.
I've been slowly
I'm not doing out with you.
over the last couple of months, and it's like almost right there.
I feel like it's a very good fall drink, so it's perfect.
Yeah, it was requested for Thanksgiving potluck.
Oh,
Okay,
I need to come join your potlucks. I had a vision in mind with my drink. I don't know. Oh wait, what's your other drink? Or are you gonna all of them, or then you have 3?
always water,
Always water, yes.
hydration, key,
Mhm.
and then my coffee in my trusty Prince mug.
Oh, I love it.
Kind of hilarious because I drink decaf coffee. I have caffeine sensitivity, and it makes me feel like somebody rubbed my body in cocaine. Like,
Oh,
it's just wild. It's like, "Blah." So I'm drinking decaf
uh,
coffee, but then also Thai iced tea, which is caffeine. So
I'm here for it. I need to go visit you so I can try this drink. I try to have a vision, so I'm not drinking this week for people who are listening. My boyfriend and I were doing High Rocks, this competition, High Rock Chicago's this weekend. So we've actually just been dry for the last few weeks. So I have a mocktail. Now we get introduced to Augustus this round, and in my head, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do like seltzer water with blackberries," because Augustus is like black, is like Cruella de Vil hair, like black and white, and I was like, "It's gonna be amazing." And I muddled the blackberries, and of course, in my head, it was still gonna say black, and it didn't change a different color. But anyway, this is my like little cocktail. All it is just muddled blackberries with blackberry seltzer water. I just added some, I had like black salt, and some blackberries, but it's pretty much just seltzer water that I flavored extra. But yeah, cheers,
counts. It totally counts.
cheers. Yeah, next week maybe I can add some like rum or something to this
Mhm.
tequila, maybe.
Gin. I like blackberry and gin.
Oh, I do have a lot of gin because we had like a thing at Birch, and I bought this like flavored gin, so I
Yeah.
can do gin.
Yeah. Blackberry and
Mm,
gin's a really good pairing.
yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into the next chapter, everyone. So, just really quickly, where we left off is the last chapter we read was Karen was very intrigued with Alexis. We got his point of view of what happened on the boat, and now we've learned that like Alexis is not necessarily the most reliable narrator. So we have to be careful with what she says, like what we take as true, because it's not necessarily all true. So chapter 11 is called Hell, and it's Alexis' point of view. So she's pretty much in class. So when we left Alexis off, she had like fallen asleep in front of the library. I remember they're not supposed to like go to sleep. What we learned throughout like the book is that like they're allowed to like sleep as long as they don't get caught. So like all the kids, all the initiates are like They take turns like sleeping in the library. So she like fell asleep at the library. So she's awakened because now she has to go back to class. And while in class, we learn from Professor Augustus that there are different rules that govern the lives of mutts and heirs. And this is especially true when it comes to females because they're so rare. A female mutt may participate in the crucible. However, for an heiress, it would be like the highest dishonor if she ever survived. So right now they're like, Alexis, you get to participate in this crucible because you're a mutt, so we think. But like an heiress like Helen, it would be dishonor. We're taking away her honor in doing this. And so the reason why also would be because heiresses are brought up to be like gentle and like dainty and like epitome whatever you think like I feel like a 1920s woman was is like what they're envisioning. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like that is what they like in their head is like, oh, we can't make her do this. She's too in quotations weak. So and Augustus makes this clear that like he does not want Helen, which is his younger sister, to participate in the Crucible, in this war academy. He doesn't want her to do anything. And Alexis, if she keeps doing well, is going to pave the way for her. So he now has taken it upon himself to like make sure like he needs to just also protect Alexis, but he doesn't want Alexis, I guess, doing well as of right now. While we're here, we also learned four other things. All Spartans at the age of 20, doesn't matter if they're Olympian or Chthonic, they have these four things in common. So first is immortality. So once they turn 20 years old, there's no way to kill them. I put kill in quotations. You pretty much have to like chop up their body and like spread them across the world so they can't like regenerate. Number two is enhanced intelligence. Number three is teleporting across the globe. And number four is taking the oath or bond. For Spartans, oaths are extremely serious, and this oath is like a binding contract. When to Spartans, they both like look into each other's eye. It's like a form of hypnotism. They say like some words that they need to say, and they're bonded. And these are willfully bonds, and they you can't break your bond with someone once you have it, which is why it's so rare for people to be married. So like Proserpine and Hades are like, they're the ones who did it, but most people don't do that. You also can bond with an animal, which is their animal protectors, and we get a little bit into that as well. But those are like the only types of bond that you can have, and you can only have three bonds like within a lifetime. They didn't clarify if it was like three human and like one animal, or does the animal include in that?
I think it
Because
I think they're being vague on purpose. They're
okay, yeah,
not saying you can have, 3 bonds total, right? Like, where that's
yeah,
3 humans or 3 Spartans or 3 Chthonic or, like, 3 animals,
yes.
whatever it is. Um, and I suspect that it's purposely vague for purpose later.
I have to agree. So everyone, I've actually gotten to the end of the book, so I have read the end. Pretty good book. I mean, it definitely wasn't what I thought it was, but I do like the book overall. So I'm very interested for book 2 to see where this goes. This thing because I do think to your point, maybe they're being purposely vague. Also, I've been taking notes as I read, so like anything that I thought was happening when I read it, I'm gonna tell you guys that still because I thought it at the time. Like, obviously now I know, but, like, I'll still say, "Oh, this is what I thought was important." So, don't worry, it'll be like I didn't read to the end of the book either. So, but then while they're going over all this, Alexis thinks to herself, Augustus is 26. Remember, he's the oldest. He's older than 26. He's the oldest out of all the Thana kids. And she's like, does that mean he needs to take the oath this year because he would be over 26? During this, again, we learned a little bit about the animal oaths or oaths. Those are really important because if you try to bond with an animal that doesn't accept you, it essentially like boils your brains and like you'll have to be killed slash cut up into pieces and across the world just to like take you out of your misery. So like you don't want to just bond with anyone that you don't think you can bond to because that can stab you in the back later on. And not everyone has an animal protector. We learned that too a little bit. So now I'm questioning. We were saying that we thought Hades and Medusa were possibly the mom. Um, is this possible now that we know how important the marriage oaths are.
Yeah,
Could Hades still be the dad?
yeah, okay, well, okay, here's the thing. I think the way that the term bond is used is different than just, like, promiscuity, right? Like,
Okay,
having
I
s
like that.
with someone does not equate to a bond. That's
Mhm.
just doing the thing.
True, but I think once you make that bond, you shouldn't be with other people.
That
So, like, is
nah, nah,
no?
I don't live in that world.
This is the world of the book. Do we think the book lives in this world?
In the beginning of the book, there's a lot of conversation about the promiscuity of Spartans, right? Oh,
Right, but that's why they say they don't take the marriage oath is because Spartans are like this.
I don't know. You can
Okay.
you can do your thing. You can take the marriage oath and also do your thing. Like, right? The people that you bond with, just like in our world, it's a conversation of like, this is how I want to live. This is how I want things to operate. Like, you know, yada, yada,
Mhm.
yada. And you can have those conversations within a Spartan bond that resembles like a marriage or something like that of like, yeah, okay, I'm bonded to you and this will be a successful marriage, but also I'm gonna go fuck my boy in the muzzle on the side, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. The only other thing I could think of maybe if we're still gonna stay with that Hades is still the dad, the only other thing I can think of is that possibly Persephone was just in on it, and she was okay if we're saying Medusa's still the mom.
Ooh.
Persephone was in on it because the little glimpse that we saw of them, their ride or dies. Like they're gonna ride or like they're together forever and always. So that's the only other thing. I have no idea, being completely honest. That is zero foreshadowing or anything that is genuinely it does not get answered at the end of this.
You
So
expect
I have no idea.
do we expect this to get answered?
Um, we shouldn't. I think all the people that we think are important, we should have answers to either by the end of this book or the end of the next book.
Yeah, I bet we don't find out until 2nd book.
So, so we do find out a little bit, but I wonder if there's more to this. Okay, we'll go on. So anyway, so during this class, Augustus is, like keeping tabs on Alexis. And remember, this is from Alexis' point of view. She's like, he's so angry with me. He's so uninterested, so unimpressed. He just keeps like staring at me. And then again, you're thinking, we just got through a Karen chapter, and we're like, but is Augustus actually doing this? Or is this in her head? She's just like making this shit up because she doesn't know human emotion or like social. She doesn't grasp certain things the way the rest of us do. Uh, but during this, she like had enough. She like essentially like she reaches her breaking point and she asks to go to the bathroom. And while she's in the bathroom, it's disgusting. She like jokes that she's gonna get like some disease from like touching this rusted toilet. But like,
I took issue
go
with
ahead.
that. I took issue with that because she was like, "This rusty toilet's gonna give me a VD," and I immediately was like, "Bitch, that's not how you get VD."
I think I agree. I think it's just like Alexis is very cynical, the word I'm looking for. She's very like, I would love to have an actual conversation with her because she's clearly like she has like that dry humor. Like if you were talking to someone, she has like that like dry humor, and this is just her doing her humor
I
stuff.
think
So
those are some of the moments though that like take me out of the character. Like when the character
mhm.
says that, there's this part of me that like drops out and like wants to like I don't know, like some dumb angry white lady go, "That's not how you get VD, author lady."
I don't think she's doing that. I think it's just supposed to be like her humor, like because we get this throughout the end of the book. Like she's like, "Oh, someone fell. It was me. I fell." Or, some kid had hit their head against the wall. "Oh, my head hurts." Like, I think this is just like her like dry humor.
Yeah.
I actually love this humor for Alexis. Like, I think if this was ever to be made like into like a movie or a TV show, it would be. I would love to see this like dry humor dynamic. I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
But anyways, she's like touching this disgusting toilet, and she's at her breaking point. She's exhausted, she's cold, she's hungry, and she thinks in her eyes no one likes her except for Charlie and Nyx. Charlie's not even there, and Nyx she can't even really talk to all the way because Nyx is invisible.
Mm.
So when she excuses herself to the bathroom, she like cries her eyes out. Then she finally goes back to the classroom and she takes much longer than what she was supposed to do. And when Augustus sees her, he was like about to reprimand her and then he stopped. So my question to you is, did he stop because she was crying and he's letting her go, or did her eyes turn red because we think she's Sonic and all Sonics have red eyes?
Yeah, it's because she's Sonic, right? And this
So
is part of why we can kind of assume that is because
mhm,
when Alexis has narrated the moments when other Thonic characters' eyes turn red, it's in a sense of like emotional elevation, right?
mhm,
For the most part, it gets explained to us as being anger, but it's still elevated emotion, which can come from
yeah,
being overwhelmed and going and crying. So I wouldn't be surprised if, even though we're being told this from Alexis, I wouldn't be surprised if it was seen as like, oh, whoa, right? Because she's not seeing herself in the bathroom. She's
yeah,
doing that like I watch myself cry thing, which I'm
yeah,
like, okay. Um, but yeah, because it's from her perspective, we don't know what he sees.
yeah.
And wouldn't be surprised if that was what did it, because then he does also go on to mention, like, how rare Thonic women are, like, how, like, Thonic must behave and, like, the rarity, and she's not
Mhm.
it's not clicking.
Cookie, yeah. In her head, she assumes she's Olympian. So we don't all we know so far from this point in the book is that we are pretty sure she's Sonic. She has some power. We don't know what it is, but it makes people foam at the mouth. It makes them go crazy. We know she's used it at least twice because the foaming of the mouth has happened at least twice. Oh no, three times up until now. It was stepmom or foster mom, the massacre, and the kid in the
I
river.
forgot about the massacre.
Yeah, so the massacre, the kids were foaming because remember, she thinks it's the other kid doing it. So, interesting. But we again, we don't know if it's because of Augustus starts to be a little nicer, at least in this 2 second, to Alexis because she was crying or because her eyes were red, but no one else sees it. And in the situation that they're in, no one else would really see it because all the kids, all the initiates are like on their deathbed, and pretty much it would just be the teacher. So her secret is safe,
Do
essentially.
do we know for certain that non-Thonic people see the eye change in other Thonic?
I think so. Yes. I think because I think they even said it. I don't know to be the answer, but I want to say yes because it is mentioned a little bit more later on. But I want to say it was mentioned also when Achilles and them were using it when they were doing the like listings of like Achilles 28 pounds or 260 pounds, blah, blah. When they were doing that, I thought like when they were watching them, their eyes had turned red.
But she said that their eyes turned red.
Oh, and she's Sonic, so she would have saw it. That's true. I don't even know. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if anyone else can see their, and I'm genuinely saying that. I assume everyone can see that their eyes turn red, but that's a good
Just
point.
thought about that just now of
Yeah,
like what if the people around her can't see it? Like if you aren't Thonic, you can't see it, and that's why nobody else in the
can see
is
it.
like, yo, your eyes are red.
That is true. Oh, interesting. So, pretty much though, do we like Augustus? Do we not like Augustus? We don't know yet because we just have Alexis's point of view.
I like Augusta.
So during this time, the initiates have to do like another circuit, and according to Alexis, when she's done with the circuit and she crosses the river, Augustus puts a foil blanket around her shoulders, like aggressively, and shouts in her ear. And they make it known that there was not enough foil blankets for everybody, but like she got a foil blanket. Then he like forces they give water, they let the initiates have water, and he forces Alexis to finish hers all the way. Like, he is clearly giving Alexis special attention right now because he doesn't force anyone else, but he forces her to drink all the way. And he's just like whispering in her ear, like, Sonic lives are important. You have to be more careful. And she's just thinking to herself, why are you doing this? Get away from me. She's like, "You're touching me." So again, can we trust him? Because right now he's favoring her, and we have to also keep in mind that the fate in the beginning requested that Augustus be a teacher this year because he's normally not a teacher. So we
Yeah.
just have to keep all that, I think, just in the back of our heads.
But part of it also is like you have to I mean, the way that Alexis narrates it, it comes across as like this dude's a misogynist.
1000%.
He is, right? Like he participates in patriarchy, he benefits from it a great deal. Like, of course he wants that. The other side of it though is that he very staunchly is advocating that his sister should not have to do this. His sister should not have to go through what Alexis is going through. He believes it would be
Mhm.
demeaning towards his sister. So I think there's also a part of him where it's like, do we perceive Alexis receiving the special treatment? Yes. But I think from his perspective, it's more like him protecting his sister. Like if he can report back, oh, I had to give this girl special treatment because she weak as fuck, then he can make
Gotcha.
that my sister doesn't have to do it.
After this. Oh, I like that. I like that. I love that. That's a good point. Yeah, he Augustus is against women being in a crucible or anything. But I also see his point, and to your point, because there's not a lot of them. Like, and I said this in our last episode where it was like, why are you killing off them all if you have a fertility problem? Like, first reproduce and then kill them off, but like, don't kill them off where you get to. And in his eyes, there's nobody because all that they have is Helen, because the rest of them are all men outside of Medusa. Medusa's locked up, like, there's no one there to carry on their chthonic line at this point,
Yeah.
so
And I think part of it too with Alexis is that she seems to be a situation that hasn't been encountered yet, right? There aren't the rules written yet for what happens when you
Mhm.
encounter whatever it is that we're all figuring out of like how Alexis fits into the Spartan circle, right? Like she's repeatedly being referred to as a mutt, right? And then we're starting to get the idea that she's Sonic and like female Sonic mutts are rare and this whole thing. So it seems to very much be the sort of thing where it's like she doesn't fit into the mold of any of the rules that already exist. So it's sort of
Mhm.
like, okay, just throw her in it and then we'll figure out what the rules are after. Right. And so maybe after she goes
Yeah,
through all of this, they're like, yeah, that was a bad idea. And we're not going to do that anymore.
yeah, hopefully, because I couldn't even imagine doing any of this, quite frankly. So by now, Alexis is delusional. She is talking nonsense. It's been 2 weeks. She's dehydrated, she's starving, she's sleep deprived. And Nyx and, Augustus are like, "Shut up." Like, there are so many times where Nyx is like, "Kid, you're embarrassing me. Shut up." And the days keep going on and on. She has to keep taking more, uh, tests and everything, and then it's time for her mentors to, like, come get her. She's so excited. They come and they take her, but during this interaction with, like, Augustus or all this, she's getting turned on. She doesn't realize she's getting turned on because she's so vanilla, but she's getting turned on.
Okay. Okay. I got another bone to pick here with this.
Okay.
Um,
She doesn't realize she's getting turned on
okay.
because she's so vanilla, but she is.
She's, ugh, just drives me batshit. The way that she describes it of like, my guts, like this feeling in my stomach, this feeling in my guts. That kind of thing drives me nuts. Okay, I get it. You are vanilla. You're kind of prudish. You don't have a lot of experience. But girl, that is your vagina. That is not your guts. It's the same thing like when people tell kids that a pregnant woman has a baby in her belly or like a baby in her stomach. And it's like, yo, that is not where that baby is located. Like,
Okay,
I take
but I do think for someone who is not experienced, That is how you would describe that.
No!
Because she's getting, like, the butterflies in her stomach. She doesn't know what it means to be turned on. She doesn't know it's her vagina.
I can't get down with that reasoning. I can't. Like,
She's a virgin, she doesn't know.
okay, fine. But she is in a position where she's going through some really rigorous physical activity. She has awareness of her body that she can detail out at multiple other moments in this story. And she details it clearly and she knows the parts of her body. She repeatedly references vaginal lips. Repeatedly. So she knows her vagina exists.
She does. I don't think it's not that she doesn't know, and I don't and again, I don't think it's not that she isn't necessarily open to the idea, it's that she's truly, up until now, never really had these feelings, like and, we're assuming because we don't know, but, like, she was literally kind of just, like, looking at porn in the library, like, she wasn't really turned on by the kids at school, so, like, I don't really think she was ever fully turned on outside of looking at the penises of the gods on the computer or whatnot, like, she hated everyone she, like, was around outside of Charlie, so I don't think she ever, like, had a crush.
I'm just, for all of the times in the book that she has great awareness of her physical being, this is one where like it just all of a sudden doesn't exist anymore.
Oh my god, I love it, okay. I can't wait till we get a little bit deeper in the book, and I can't wait for the rest of your reactions. I'm totally here for all of this.
I'm gonna be like,
So,
"Oh, that works."
chapter 12, mentor days, and again, this is Alexis' point of view. So, Alexis is woken up by her mentor. She's been asleep for about a day and a half, and Petrol's like, they're trying, and I'm putting trying in quotations. They're like trying to take care of her in their own fucked up way. Yes, they need a means to an end with her, but they're like, you need to get up and you need to eat. Like, you still can't die. Whether it's because I need to become a general is one thing, but like they're trying to take care of her as best as they can or that they know how to.
Yeah.
Um, you would think they'd be a little bit more sensitive with her because Petro and Helen are also brother and sister, and we know that from like their map that we get in the beginning of the book. They both are Aphrodites, I think, kids.
Mhm.
So like we know that they're brother and sister also. So it's Augustus. I think it's like Augustus on the dad side or something, and then like Petra on the mom side. So like Helen is like both of their siblings. So you would just think if they're so sensitive with Helen that like he would know to be a little bit more sensitive with her, but doesn't. Alexis like doesn't wake up, and so they drag her. Petro and Achilles drag her out of the house. They have like this beach next to their house, and they essentially like dump her into the shallow one and like force her to wake up. And then Petro like holds down Alexis and like holds on her legs, and then he calls her Alex a few times, and she gets pissed, and she knees him in the balls, and she's like, "Don't call me Alex." So I would love to know this trauma that she has. Like, do we think that's from the foster parents? Do we think that's before the foster parents? Like, I'm very interested why she's also so against Alex.
I
But I, but
Well, based on what we know in the book, it comes from the foster parents. It's
did they call her Alex?
They called her Alex. The
Oh, I missed that. So then, okay, then this
father
completely is
called
the
her
okay.
a lot.
Which makes sense because she was abused by them, so she doesn't want those feelings to come back. So that this makes perfect sense, yeah. But I do think now that she kicked them in the balls and she literally was like, "Don't touch me," I think she's slowly standing up for herself. Like, we're slowly getting some form of character development. She's getting some more of her street smart. She's so far from it still,
Mhm.
but I think she's approaching what she needs to know to like take care of herself in this world. So then she's taken to the dining room slash like kitchen. She sees so much food, and remember, this is another luxury for her because she grew up never being able to eat or anything. So needs to eat as much as possible for the next 2 weeks because she knows that they're going to start for her again. And this is hard for her because she already has a small stomach. So like when she like eats something, she like pukes it out right away, and then the Crimson Duo are like, "You're so weak, you're pathetic." But it's like, no, she literally hasn't eaten tests more than like beef jerky at one point in time. So like she doesn't her body just doesn't know how to handle all this food. So then once they're done eating or they're in the middle of eating, Alexis asks them like, "What's the strategy?" And Petra says to seduce the other initiates. Alexis says, "I rather die.
Yeah.
I rather die than seduce them." And this is a question for you. If I was single and 19 and in this thing where people are gonna kill me and I'm just trying to survive, I do think I would try to seduce whoever the fuck I needed to seduce because I'm the only girl. Like there's no competition, really, quite frankly. So
Care any of my other lifestyles. I'm gonna fuck you so you get close enough for me to destroy you.
yes,
I,
I agree.
I know how this works.
I I'm like, I think you should seduce them. But I think the better question now is it's not that if she could seduce them, it would be where could she seduce them because what while they're like in class, there's no way for her to like actually do it. And then you could I feel like there's like a good time and then the windows pass when she's like delusional again, right? Like
Yeah, but part of it is also that she just doesn't even know how to, which
correct. Because she doesn't know she's turned on when she's turned on.
but what a great chapter that would be of her being like, "Yeah, okay, I agree. The plan is I'm gonna seduce these people, but I don't know how to seduce them." And then you should
Oh,
be taught how to seduce. That could be so hot. That could be so
I would. We're not ruling anything out. Not saying this happens this book, but maybe happens next book. Who knows?
if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna write fan fiction about it.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't
I'm here for it.
write bullet points, so I'll even
I'm here for it. So when Alexis says, "I rather die," Petra says that could be arranged. And Alexis calls them on their bluff, and she's like, "Well, do it then." And she tells them she wants a real strategy. And Petra's like, "There's only three strategies: to fuck them, to beat them, or to kill them." And he's like, "Since you won't fuck them and you can't beat them because you're so weak, that only leaves killing them." And she's like, "Oh my god, I can't kill them." But she's been fucking killing them already, and she doesn't even know that she's already been doing this strategy to begin with.
but because she doesn't know,
So
they also don't know.
they also don't know. They think she's this weak, whiny. They think she grew up rich in the mortal world, in the human world. They think very little of her right now. Then Alexis like makes the comment that maybe she won't survive till the next week, and Petrol's like, "Are you threatening us?" And then like that point in time, Karen portals in, and up until now, Alexis has only seen Karen like doing the river when they're doing the circuit, like in the river. We know as readers that he's been also at her bedside when she was like sick or delirious, but she doesn't know that as the protagonist in this.
Mhm.
So now she's like freaking out, like, what the fuck is Karen doing here? Because in her head, Karen's a monster. They're all monsters, but Karen's the worst because he takes bodies to go see death. And so Karen like turns around and speaks to Alexis. And when he finally speaks to her, this is when she finally realizes, perhaps the voice that she's been hearing the week before, like when she was like in and out of conscious. And she's like, fuck, what is he doing here? So the duo are like, Karen, what are you doing here? Like, and they start joking around, and we get more information about the marriage law during them joking around. And pretty much they're like, "Are you here to like talk about the new marriage law? You have to technically tie the knot this year because of your ages. What are you gonna do?" And Karen's just like, "I found a solution. Like, don't worry about it." And Petra's like, "How? They've listed our names. There are no loopholes. You cannot marry Augustus. Neither of us can. Or Helen. You're stuck with an Olympian or creature. Those are the only eligible people within this marriage law." So and then he looks, Karen like responds, and he looks at
Mhm.
Alexis and is like, "I think I found the loophole." So my guess at this point is they were very specific when they said they've listed our names or are no loopholes. My guess is because Alexis is a mutt that they just found out about right when it happened. Even though we think she's Sonic because they didn't, she's nowhere. She's non-existent right now. I think that's going to be the loophole, but we'll see. So we don't know who her parents are because maybe she'll be an heiress, maybe she won't be an heiress. Like I don't know, but I do think that is important for us to think about. But then my next question is, does she have to wait till she's 26 because of the marriage law? But they keep saying it's so young to like make
No,
someone choose immortality.
no. Why would we hold women to the same laws that we do men?
Why? You're absolutely correct. Why?
Yeah.
Um, so then Karen asks, like, what did I miss? And Petra responds, Alexis here was just telling us how she's purposely gonna die so we don't become generals. And then the duo and Karen leave to discuss things. And right as Alexis thinks she's by herself, that she can just finish eating, Karen comes back and approaches her. And he says, if you dare harm yourself, I'll bring you back to life and torture you for all of eternity. Sonic lives are important. Petros and Achilles will become generals. You will survive the crucible to make sure that that happens. If you try to deviate from this plan, I will hurt you just for fun. And then Karen tells her, I know what you did with Crystal in the water. And Alexis is like, no, I was trying to save him. Like she's thinking to himself, like, why would he say like I was killing him? He's seen this all wrong. Crystal was like splashing around. He was trying to bring me under. I was trying to save him. Like you're misinterpreting this whole thing badly. And we know from Karen's chapter that no, she killed him. So Karen like leaves, and then Alexis goes and like takes a shower. And pretty much that night, she just has a really bad dream where she dreams the devil, aka Karen. She calls devil and Karen are like kind of interchangeable a lot in this. So like Karen are in her dream. Karen is asking like, "Why are you lying about who you are?" And she doesn't know what's going on. And essentially, the rest of the chapter is just pretty much like the next 2.5 days. It's just pretty much her eating, drinking, or showering, devil dreams, and how the devil is like now like obsessed with her.
Mhm.
Chapter 13 test. And this is still an Alexis chapter. I love it when we don't get Alexis chapters. Let me tell you. I love other people's point of view.
I know.
This is still an Alexis chapter. So they're back at like the war academy, and we learned that now they had 10 initiates when they began, and now there's 8. Crystal died, and then another initiate like never came back from his circuit. We also learned that there are three bullies in the class. So there's Leo, Alexander, and Titus. So Leo's a mutt of the house of Apollo. Alexander is the mutt of Poseidon, and Titus is the mutt to Dionysus. And it's been almost 2 weeks. So Alexis is so excited because she's like, I get to go back home. I get to eat. She gets to get warm. Like it's freezing where they are. And during this chapter, we learn that sirens are very misunderstood, unique characters. They score higher than Spartans in any like intelligence test, but because of their class and they are not understood, like they have their own language, so Spartans cannot understand them. They cannot communicate with anyone else besides people who are considered their own species. So for this purpose, sirens are just known for providing sexual entertainment, and they usually do it at the symposium. And so by now, Alexis is becoming delirious again. She's giving test after test. She's now like drawing penises on the side of her test. She's writing, like when she's writing her essays, she's getting a little bit like sassy with her, like she's growing like a parent, honestly. Like she's responding a little bit boldly. She's becoming a little sassy. So again, I think her character is slowly just trying to grow. But she keeps stating how Augustus keeps like staring at her in this weird, mean way. But we do know Augustus has like a little thing for her. So like, is he staring at her weird? Like this is where she like becomes
Okay,
unreliable narrator.
here's the thing, it probably is weird, right? Because there are multitudes going on here with how Augustus perceives her, which we learn, when we get to his chapter. But
Which isn't like chapter, so yeah.
yeah, but there are he has all of these different pieces, right? Like he's trying to do his job as the professor, but he also feels like he needs to do it in such a way that he can prove that women shouldn't be here because he's trying to protect his sister. So
Mm.
I can see how somebody who's going through those mental gymnastics would look at the individual that they feel responsible for all of this extra work and be looking at them weird. That would make sense to me, whether it's like
That's fair.
sexual or not. I'd be like,
That's fair.
I'd be like, you're frustrating the piss out of me. I would look at you weird. I'm a Virgo.
Uh,
That's it. Like you're gonna get the judgment face. It's coming.
I love it. During this chapter too, we find I don't know say we get a lot about, but Augustus's animal is a raccoon. And this raccoon, I like compared to everyone else's animal, because the Crimson Duel, they have like a jaguar and like a wolf or something. I forgot, but like they have like big ones, whatever. We find out that Karen has two hellhounds that only he can see, but he has two hellhounds. So like big, bad, you know, aggressive animals. And here is Augustus with like this raccoon who's like eating chalk and eating his hair and like just laid out sprawl on top of his head. I think this little raccoon is like comedic relief, and I absolutely love it. But in this chapter, we also learn that the heir to Zeus, Theros' power is like creating a force field, and it helps keep him safe. We also learn that whenever he enacts that shield, if someone is close to him, he will bring that person into the shield and essentially protect both of them, or they'll both be enclosed because his power like takes too much energy to be able just to focus on like just him and not the other person who's like in the shield with them. And then also we learn before the end of this chapter is that Alexis is currently second in her class. And so the 2 weeks are over, and the mentors are supposed to like come get them. But we learned that after these next 2 weeks, things will start to get a little bit easier for the initiates because now they can attend the symposium, which is where the sirens are, which is where things should hopefully get good. But also the symposium will have food. So essentially, anytime the initiates get to go to the symposium, it will allow them to like re I guess hydrate. And then I thought to myself, maybe I know she doesn't want to fuck people, but this is where she would be able to seduce. Like she can't seduce in the school right now, but she can seduce at the symposium.
You could do both.
Where are you fucking in this
Well,
class?
it's seduction isn't just like,
Okay, true. You're right. It's not you're okay, I give that to you. It's not, but she can barely function. She's delirious. Who is she seducing?
hey, you know what? Some weirdos like that damsel in distress thing,
Okay, true.
right? Like,
True.
there's, I'm not gonna yuck anybody's yum, but like, there's all sorts of whatever there, right? And we start to see that with one of her classmates, where Dex is Dex his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, where it starts as a barter system of like, yo, help me be better at equations, and I'll help keep you safe from these two bullies, right?
Yeah.
So we see a little bit of that, and it's presented as like a trade or like a tit for tat, but it is him showing some sort of interest and some sort of investment in her. Like,
Okay.
play the game, take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So there are things that can happen here. She just doesn't seem to have awareness, right? She's just giving the information of like, well, seduce these people. And it's assumed that seduction equates sexual intimacy.
Mhm.
And
Well, she doesn't even know how to do that. Like, she doesn't even know what I saw. She doesn't know what butterflies are.
no, do you have
She doesn't know
you don't. You don't.
what happened.
You don't have to know how.
You don't have to know how, but I think if you're trying, no, I think you do have to know how in this case and purpose. I think it's different for me to be like I'm accidentally seduced some like a friend or something, and it wasn't like a life or death situation. I think if it's like life or death the way this is, you should know. It's one thing if it's, like, by accident and, like, feelings are forming, it's another thing when it's, like, attack, but it's a strategy. It's a strategy that you have to know.
Okay, I don't know why I'm gonna make this argument,
Okay, do it.
I don't know why I feel that it is true. I'm trying to figure that out. I don't think you have to know how to fuck to seduce somebody. You don't have to.
No, I agree with that. I mean, I don't disagree with that statement. I agree with that statement. I disagree that she knows how to. In her head, I feel like it equivalates to that, and she doesn't even know how to do that. Like, she's so vanilla.
I think it's more fun if you don't know how.
Okay, well,
Okay, for example, right, let's say, and this is not my MO in any way, shape, or form. Well, this is very funny to me that I'm like conjuring this. Okay,
it is too because I know you
yeah,
in the situation.
y'all, she ain't no Dom over here. Let's be real. Let's say, for example, I am an individual who is interested in this damsel in distress model. Okay.
Mhm.
That is where my interest is coming from. And maybe, and I'm going to ask around on this one. So I'll report back next
Okay.
episode. I'm going to ask around. I would hypothesize that if that's the kind of thing that you're into, then being intimate with somebody who doesn't know how to do any of these things would be more appealing because it would fit the mold.
Okay,
And
I
I'm
give
not,
you that. No, I can give you that actually.
but I'm saying it's like it fits into. It's not. I was going to say it fits into the kink, but it's not really a kink. It fits into the roles,
Okay.
right? It,
That I can give you that. Yeah, especially because when we're talking about like damsel in distress, I do think some of the men Olympian or Sonic people are kind of viewing her as a little damsel in distress
yeah.
in itself. So I can get behind that.
Well,
Yeah.
if I'm going to make the assumption that like you don't know how to take care of yourself and you need my protection, wouldn't I probably also make the assumption that like you don't know how to have any sort of intimacies, and so therefore I get to like teach you to have, and then it is grooming, teach you to have the intimacies that
Yeah.
I want, right?
Yes.
I would think that would be more appealing than like getting ready to get down and this girl being like, "Okay, I'm the boss, applesauce." Right?
Okay, true, true. But these are also like okay, true. I'll just say, but like she's also seducing like 19-year like
Okay,
we'll see. I'm not saying they're not experienced. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying like I just think in the situation that they're in, these other 19-year-olds, like it's not gonna be easy to like they like are starving, they're sleep deprived, like there's a teacher with them at all point. Like even when they're like talking, they get told to like shut up. Like I think it's even hard to like form like yeah, to seduce in their current situation. Not and maybe in a symposium, maybe not during their 2 weeks or their 2 days off or whatever.
yeah.
Like those situations might be easy, but I think in their current situation, like I don't think that's easy.
I'm not saying it's easy, but I think you could do it. And I think the thing is that because of the situation that they're in, it's gonna be like kind of like more like messed up than like what we think of as like typical seduction, right? Typical seduction is like you put on the stockings, you put on the heels, you put on the short, you do the Sharon Stone leg crossy blunt thing,
Yeah.
right? And like this isn't a situation that calls for that. So you have to figure out like how
How to do it.
right. And that's
Hmm.
where your mentors come in because she doesn't know how to do any of this.
Nope.
So that's where, see, and I'm telling you, that'd be a hot, hot, hot chapter.
Okay. Get to the end of the book. Get to the end of the book and then let me know what you think. But you brought us into a nice little transition because you brought up death. So they get some time to like study. They're given like a break, and so they go to the library to study. This is when they can warm up, sleep if they need to, whatnot. But Alexis is there with her bullies, and the bullies are just making fun of her, like these three bullies that are there. And so Dex makes the comment like, "This sucks," and he proposes an alliance with Alexis because he's like, we're the only two who grew up in the human world. We know we're so far behind in math and everything because like we're not taught that. Like all these other people around us, all the other initiates, they were given great schools, so they're just ahead of us. And he's like, I need help. I need you to help tutor me. And in exchange, I'll help in the circuit. And Alexis is like, I can't. She can't do this. And it's not because she doesn't like want to, but she's like, I don't even have the energy to take care of myself. Like I am not worry about you right now. I have to just worry about doing good for myself because if I do good for me, Charlie gets done. So then they go back to class, it's been hours or days, no one knows. They have to do another circuit. The 8 have now become 7. When initiate falls asleep, now they kind of all have to kind of do the circuits. Before it was like just that initiate, but now it's looking like they're all doing the circuits now. One of them messes up. And the initiate goes to sleep. They all have to do the circuit and she's done. She's like, I don't have the energy for this. And so while she's like climbing and doing some stuff, Drex just starts like pulling her along. And she's like, no, I said we were not doing this alliance. And he's like, I'm not expecting anything from you. I just want you to like go up and down this mountain. And then when they get up to the top and go down, she almost falls off the cliff and he catches her again, delirious. They come down, they make it to the bottom where the river is, and her bullies start fucking bullying her again and doing all types of stuff. And then Karen comes up and he like stares at the two bully. I think at this point it was two of them. There is three, but I think he only stares at like two of them. And then Alexis just thinks, oh, he's reminding me of his threat that I can't kill myself or do anything. But again, she's not the most reliable narrator. So is he doing that to protect her from the bullies, to like get the bullies to back the fuck off because he realizes that she almost fell off the cliff and she needs to practice? Or is he doing this because he's like means to an end?
He's doing it to protect the bullies. So here's the thing. It's not to
Wait, to protect the bullies or to protect Alexis from the bullies?
no, to protect the bullies from Alexis. Because we've already encountered a situation where
Oh.
Alexis has murdered a classmate, and then there was a whole lecture of like, yo, this isn't how we do things here,
Mhm.
right? So
Okay.
he has the awareness of her ability to murder a classmate. But he also knows if she does it again, it's an even bigger problem, right? So
Yep.
she receives it as like, oh, here comes like the son of death again with like a big old lecture. But I think he's actually doing it to prevent a situation that would enable her to murder another classmate.
Cool. So I never thought of it that way.
Even though when she does it, he's like, "Ugh."
No, I never thought of it that way. That's actually very good. That's a very good point to think. I think that's a great point. I didn't think of it that way, but I truly think that is a great. What I do is just like I think he's protecting her, but I see your point. He's protecting them from her because we know she could just
In
kill.
turn,
Love it.
it does in turn protect her.
Yeah.
Protects her, it keeps her there, it keeps her in the process. So yes, part of it is protecting her, but in a roundabout way.
Yeah. I like that. I like how you're theorizing there. I like that. So just like some more time passes and the initiates are like back in the library and the bullies just start doing their thing again. And Titus grabs Alexis's arm and Alexis like freaks out. Like she's like, you're touching me, don't touch me, let me go. And he doesn't and starts like teasing her some more. And she like punches Titus in the face. Then Titus hits her back. And then Alexis knees him in the balls and like Titus goes down. Then of course, because you can't have a one-on-one fight, the bully's two friends like try to jump Alexis, but Dex gets in and he like jumps gets over like on Leo, but then there's Alexander and Alexander approaches Alexis and Alexis at this point she's like she has no energy. She's done. She can barely move. She has enough energy to pick up a chair and hit it over his head and he goes down. And then this is when we start getting a lot of shadows.
Mhm.
Um so shadows start to move strangely and then Alexa's like vision and she's like, is someone watching her? And this is the start of like she mentions people kind of looking at her before, but like this is when she's like I think really like acknowledges the shadows at first. And just I would just say pay attention to every time from here on out where she's like, "Is someone watching me? Is there shadows? Is this her power? Is this not her power? Is it someone else?" I have no idea, but, well, I do know.
Yeah, I was like,
You don't know,
"Yes,
but
you
I
know."
do. I do know. Uh, um, Honestly, being completely honest, when I read this, I thought this was either Augustus or Karen. I was like, one of them is a shadow. I don't know their powers or whatever, but I feel like one of them has to be the shadow.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Nyx is like a proud fucking mama right now and is like praising Alexis. And she's like, I'm so proud of you. Best day of my life. I knew you had it into you. Pussy power. Crush the patriarchy. Murder them all. Kill everyone in this room. I absolutely love Nyx. Like,
I do find it interesting that, like, the previous 10 chapters, Nyx was very integral in a lot of them.
mhm,
This chunk of 5 chapters that we've gotten to, we've heard a lot less of Nyx. This
mhm.
was really kind of the one moment in these 5 chapters where we saw Nyx as much as we had previously.
True. I don't know if this is true. They don't really address this later on, but I would assume it's because Nyx is a snake and she's cold. And Nyx can't like survive. I would assume, right? Because snakes are not
Yeah.
they're cold-blooded creatures.
Yeah, 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 but you're cold-blooded.
You're cold-blooded, yeah, yeah.
Cool. You're a cold-hearted snake.
Oh yeah, you're cold-hearted. There we go.
Yeah,
So they need heat. So like I just think that she's not like I think Nyx is just like also has no energy to do stuff. Like she's just there.
yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. Um, so all this is going on, and then Alexis pukes to add insult to injury. She pukes all over Alexander. And then a general comes in, and Professor Augustus is right behind them with a worried expression. And when he sees Alexis's face, she says his face turns into like a hateful scowl. And but remember, she's not the most reliable like a narrator. So like, what does this mean that's like going on? And the general asks like, what happened? And he says, before any initiates can answer, the general says, remember, if anyone was fighting, you all have to run the circuit for hours. And none of these kids want to run this circuit. So they just say that like Titus is like, Alexander fell out of his chair and knocked me down, and they just use that, but like none of this explains how the chair got on top of him, how the vomit got on top of him, how there's blood. Like none of this explains how any of that happened, but that's what they're going with. And so when the general leaves, and according to Alexis, because this is Alexis' chapter, Augustus like comes up to her and is like, "What do you think you're doing?" And she's like, "I'm confused." And Augustus leans closer and is like, "Why the fuck are you putting yourself in danger? Sonic lives are extremely important. Start acting like it." And Alexis interprets this as he's mad that she just put her mentor's life on the line. So my question to you is, do we think that's true? Or is he really care about her?
Okay. I don't know if he really cares about her. I think he's intrigued. I think there's a rarity to her that,
Yes. Love that you use that word. Yes.
yeah, that makes that kind of intriguing thing, right? Where, these generals and these whoever, like these professors and the mentors and whatnot, who are like, when you talk about immortality, they're quite young, right? And
Mhm.
this is an individual that doesn't really exist in their world. So there's a certain amount of intrigue there. But again, I just keep going back to like so much of his behavior is about protecting his sister.
Okay, that's fair.
So,
I like that. That's fair.
I can't help but think that there's a part of it where like and we get to his chapter where he sees the scuffle, right? And talks about it. And there's a part of it that's got to be like, God damn it, like I'm trying to prove that women don't belong here so that my sister doesn't have to do this. And here's this girlie showing up kicking ass. She's making it very difficult for me to make my argument that my sister does not belong here.
Yes.
But also, it's
Okay.
like kicking ass is kinda hot, and I might wanna
Yeah,
take her for a ride.
he is. Um, so then Augustus pretty much says, "You better take care of yourself or I'll have to take action. This cannot continue." So what could this action be? I have no idea. But during this interaction, Augustus is getting turned on, but so is Alexis. Again, she doesn't realize she's getting turned on, but she's like getting turned on.
It's in her
Then
bus
Nick,
it's in her belly!
so I do think they describe this a little later. I do think not necessarily the belly part, but I do think they describe a little bit later how phonics feel. Um, and so maybe this will help you get past this.
No, it's the
But we'll see.
anatomy lesson that I take into
But she's getting turned on. She doesn't know she's getting turned on. And Nyx is like, thank God we find, or they say Chronos. Their version of saying thank God is thank Chronos. Finally, a worthy suitor. I was getting worried you were gonna die a virgin. And I'm like, okay. She's like, it's bad for our family honor. So what honor she's referring to? Medusa's honor, Charlie, hers, this. But Nyx pretty much tells Alexis that Augustus is into her, and Alexis being innocent is like, "Oh, me? Of course not." And Nyx is like, "Yeah, bitch, it's you. Like, you need to know." But then after all this, the teachers leave. They're all the kids are, the initiates are back in the library. Alexis sees Drax struggling with his studies, and she decides to help him and tutor him because he proved more than once that he had her back without wanting anything in return. So she's making more friends because she needs more friends.
what
She
he's
doesn't have
seducing
any,
her.
so maybe he is seducing her. Who knows? Chapter 15, Obsession, and this is an Augustus chapter. Finally, we get another point of view. So we get this, and it's a few hours before or it's like right before the chair incident. So when he heard the crash, he runs into the library and he finds Alexis with her nose smashed and bleeding. It was clear someone had punched her. And Augustus is like, he loses his shit. He gets pissed. And Augustus thinks to himself, Alexis is delicate, just like my sister, Helen. And her soft features are twisted with pain. Every muscle in my body tense. Men who hurt women do not deserve to live. This is exactly why she shouldn't be participating in his word, the fucking crucible. Sonics are an endangered species, and it's my duty as the eldest to keep the next generation safe. They're all depending on me. I won't fail. Alexis is the reason why Helen will have to participate in the games. So that was a lot to take in, I think a little bit. He does want Alexis to fail. He does not want Alexis to do well. But then we get more information from uh, Augustus. We find out that Karen told told Augustus what Alexis is, and this pisses off Augustus even more because to him he's like, Alexis is choosing to participate in this when women shouldn't be able to participate in the crucible. So I'm doing immersive reading, meaning I'm reading the book and listening to the audiobook. And this is the first time Karen's name is pronounced differently. So before it was Karen, 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 and now it's Karen.
Yeah,
So we do find out a little bit more about that later, but this is the first time that Karen's name was pronounced Karen.
yeah.
So take note of that. And then Augustus says it isn't, so to your point about like patriarchy and all this stuff, it isn't about women being tough as men. It's about the fact they shouldn't have to. Spartan women are rare and needed to be protected at all costs. The future of our society depends on keeping them safe. And I just want you to hold that thought because that's our sassy topic. So whatever you're gonna say, you can say it in about 3 more minutes. You can say it in about 3 more minutes because we're gonna come back to that. That is our sassy conversation. So now, like, again, this is from Gus's point of view, and he notices like the bullies are on the ground, and he's proud of Alexis. He's like, she was defending herself. He's like, you go, girl, essentially. But Augustus still believes though that this is a game to Alexis, that she chose to be here. And here's the thing: Alexis didn't choose any of this. She was brought here against her will. She's forced to participate. She hasn't told anyone about Charlie yet. She's too scared to tell anybody about Charlie. And then he makes the comment, if I stay in this library for another second, I'm going to murder those boys for touching her and then kidnap and handcuff Alexis to his bed. So now I'm asking you, is he doing it because he loves her or he likes her? Or is he doing it to like protect Phonics, to protect the mentors? Like, why do you think he's doing all this?
Because he's a purr.
Or he's a morally gray man?
Yeah, which is, I I was gonna say no shame in that because, well, I think it's
So when it comes to books, morally gray characters, there is no shame. None of us have shame. I think a lot of us love the morally gray characters.
yeah. I mean, I think it's easy to, like, look at the way that, like, the character and, like, the writing of the character and just sort of be like, "Okay, what's the intention behind this?" But, like, sometimes there just isn't any intention behind it, right? We know
Mhm,
that his main intention is he wants Alexis to fail, because if Alexis fails, it protects his sister. That's his main intention. But you can also happen to just, like, wanna fuck somebody at the same time.
there's a thin line between love and hate, I understand.
Right. And it that doesn't necessarily have to mean that there's some sort of, like, push behind it, that there's some sort of reasoning behind it, right? It can just be like, "That was hot. I wanna do kinky shit to her because that sounds fun." It can be that
Mhm,
basic.
yeah, and he would be the one grooming her because she's so innocent. So we're talking about grooming in any shape or form. He's clearly experienced, she's not.
Yeah. That doesn't I mean, yes, does that set up the balance for grooming? Sure, absolutely. But I think, especially in this part of situation, like, part of what makes her intriguing in this way is that everybody's still figuring out, like, who she is and how she operates, including
Mhm.
her. But they don't know that she's also still figuring it out. They all think
They don't.
right. They
Yep.
all think that she already has this awareness of herself and, like, has this awareness of her power, right? So they're looking at it from the outside and being like, she looks like it, this tiny little thing, and, like, stick her in your pocket and take her around. But then we see her do
Mhm.
these actions that are like, whoa, wait a minute, right? And I think that that's part of what is causing this curiosity of the characters who are within proximity to her. Is that it's
Mhm.
like, we can't really pinpoint, like, who you are or where you're at. And so part of our expressing our excitement in that is
Mhm.
being slutty ass Spartans who are like, "Yeah, I'm gonna handcuff you to my bed."
I love it. So much would be fixed if people just sat down and talked and, just said what was really going on. Like, I feel like so much of this could probably be avoided, but there would be no plot in a book if we did that, so no plot in a book. So anyways, it's time for a break, and Petros and Achilles come and get Alexis, which makes Augustus jealous. He's like, "Why are they grabbing her so familiarly?" And it's like, "Dude, these are her mentors. Like, why else would they be grabbing her? They need to take her back to feed her." But then again, this is where I'm saying, if Augustus is getting jealous and he's asking all this, is it more than just them being generals at this point?
Probably.
He's clearly obsessed with her. He's clearly possessive of her at this point. He thinks she's doing things for X reason and it's not true, but like he has this preconceived notion of her and he's just like not willing to let it go.
I mean, again, I think part of that is, like, figuring out this mystery, right? right?
Mhm.
It's easy to interpret that question as jealousy, and there is obviously jealousy in there in the way that he describes it of like, why are they touching her like this? Why are they grabbing her like this? Right? But again, that's the curiosity of what is the nature of the relationship,
There is no nature yet. Right now, it's student and professor. So
right?
yeah.
But like, what is the nature of the relationship between like her and her mentors? He doesn't like
Mm,
Augustus doesn't know that yet. He doesn't know,
that's true.
right? So it's it's one of those things where like if you aren't right, you're building a puzzle, right? You're putting all of this information together, and if you aren't given the puzzle piece, you're gonna fill it in with whatever goes on in your own mind. So that's where we're kind of seeing Augustus going is like,
Mhm.
I don't know what's going on here and I want to figure it out. So I'm gonna fill it in with like whatever info fits my MO or fits my narrative, right?
Yeah.
So what currently fits his narrative is like, oh, there's something intimate going on.
Here. Yeah.
Yeah, that
No, I like this. I like it also because he's getting jealous and they're orthotics. So like he really can't kill them because then he messes up the bloodline or whatnot. So I'm here for wherever this storyline is going. I'm absolutely here for it. But pretty much Alexis, leaves, they pour them out, and then the two bullies are left, and Augustus takes it onto himself to pull the bullies to the side before their mentors arrive. He like takes them to like the back of like the library and he goes into their brain, which is painful. There's like blood, the kids are like there's blood dripping from like their nose and their mouth, and he tells them that they better leave Alexis alone. And then Augustus portals out and he's like, he needs a distraction. And so he portals to a cardboard box in the woods that's covered by a tarp. So he clearly portals to Alexa's home. He doesn't know that's Alexis's home, but he clearly is portals to that point in the wood and he goes looking for titans. He just like wants to kill something. And then we didn't talk about this last time, but, like, in the last episode, in those chapters, Nyx had said, "Home is a person." Like, that's a thing. So, are now Alexis and Augustus somehow connected? And they didn't take no bond or anything, no truth bond or oath or whatnot, but he he went to where Charlie was, and Charlie is Alexis's home, right? So, he somehow portal to Charlie. How, if he's never been there before? And that would have been Alexis's home, not his.
no, he's already
So just
he,
how do you know he's been
he
there?
knew where he was going.
Oh,
Why would
no, how do you know?
why would it be so specific? Why would it be so specific and made so clear to us as readers that he went to her home?
But he doesn't know he went to her home.
Are we sure?
Yeah,
There's this part of me that like, okay, right, you're further ahead than me. But there's this part of me that wants to think that he knows.
maybe intuition, I don't know, but I and this is where, like, fated mates might come through. I know they're gods, and I don't know if gods can necessarily have fated mates, but, like, are they possibly fated mates in a way that he's feeling stuff through her? Food for thought. But anyways, Augustus thinks to himself, Karen was right, or I'll say Karen was right. His plan was the only acceptable path forward. He'll have to tell him later that he's agreed and they're going to do it his way. So now I'm thinking, what is this plan? What is going on? Like, all we know is it's like a chapter ends, but all we get from that chapter is that Augustus is now going to do whatever Karen's plan is. He is super attracted, super possessive of Alexis and of all the chapters. Dun dun dun.
I'm super
Okay.
stoked for all these dudes to be like, I'm gonna marry this bitch. And then like, right? Because you only have three bonds.
You do. You then and one, I assume one would be an animal, but my point is, could she bond to three animals? Could she bond with three different bonds outside of this? So I don't know, but this is
Mm,
great.
mm-mm.
So now we'll get to our sassy topic. And so I stopped you before because I was like, this is such a great topic for us to talk about. Okay, so sassy, our little sassy topic is Augustus believes, and I'm quoting, and I quote, "It wasn't about women being as tough as men. It's about the fact that they shouldn't have to be." What are our thoughts on this? Especially now, like, is this do we think this is being portrayed women as weak? Is this a mentality we have to agree with? Like what are your thoughts?
Okay. If that sort of thing works for Augustus and whoever he's bonded with, great, have at it. I also still keep in mind that Augustus does all of this with his sister in the back of his head, right? So like
Mhm,
he is saying women shouldn't have to be tough, but what he's really saying is my sister shouldn't have to be tough. You gotta keep that
mhm,
in mind that when he talks about women, he is really talking about his sister. So I sort of get what he's saying from that protector aspect of it, but it's also like, I don't know. It's just such a particular variety of exhausting, right? Like, okay, I'm going to tell a real life story here. I have a second floor neighbor. We don't jive. We're not supposed to talk to each other anymore.
nice.
Um,
Would love to hear off camera that story, but go
Give a
ahead.
shit. I'll call a man out in public. Um, now, I was leaving the house the other day to like go set up a bar, and I had stuff all over me, right? Like a big IKEA bag full of stuff. I had like my really rolly cart with like pre-batched cocktails. I was carrying at least half my body weight down the stairs, right? I used the back stairs. So I was going down the stairs and out to the front of the house. So I get all my stuff to the front of the house and I'm waiting for the car. And there's this package at the front door. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to like push this closer to the front door because it was like on the stairs, right? So I put all my stuff down and I go to start pushing it. And my neighbor's outside and he starts yelling at me, ah, little miss, little miss. I'm like, dude, the fuck? Like, don't call me little miss. That's like calling me baby girl, right? Don't ever call
Yeah.
me baby girl if you're serving me barbecue. That's the rule. Like, so he's little missing me, despite the fact that he knows my fucking name. Still little misses me. And he's like, don't touch that. That's really heavy. That's my shocks. Don't touch it. It's really heavy. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool, dude. I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't see you there. I was just like trying to get it closer to the door and be helpful. He's like, how did you not see me here? I'm standing right here. And I was like, I just didn't see you. And he goes, to be aware is to be alive. And I was like, huh, okay. I was like, sorry, man.
I don't even know what that means because I feel like I'm alive and I'm aware. So I don't even know what that means,
I was
but
like,
okay.
okay, dude, I was just trying to get it closer to the door to be helpful. And he was like, well, that's really heavy. And you're a woman and women shouldn't be lifting heavy things. And I looked at him and I was like, dude, did you not just notice that I hauled like 65 pounds of stuff out of the house? To be aware is to be alive. And then I got in my car.
Oh, oh, okay, so you don't like this saying, so got it.
No, like, okay. I think sometimes people confuse taking care of a female body with a female body being weak. And
I have to applaud that. I agree with that statement, yes.
that a body is only deserving to be cared for if it is weak. And that is inaccurate. And I find this kind of thing exists more explicitly in cishet men than outside of that, right? Like, and especially because like when you get involved in care, meaning like intimacy and things like that, right? That it's easier for people to create the narrative of like, oh, I have to be more delicate or I have to be more gentle with this person or I have to show them, more affection or like do more aftercare or whatever if I believe that they are weak. And if I don't have the impression that they or their body is weak, then those things all go out the window, right?
Mhm,
And I know that's not true because just in like the type of play that I have interest in, like I am very interested in like pushing the limitations of like what my body can handle, right? But I still want the care after that. And because a lot of that
mhm,
happens in the kink realm, that's kind of included. But if it happens outside of the kink realm, it doesn't really exist. It's
Gotcha.
I find a very difficult thing for people to be able to do all of it, right? It's not either or,
Mhm.
it's yes and. Like,
Interesting. Okay.
yes, this body is strong, and I can treat it with care and concern and delicacy.
Okay.
So that's the issue that I take with it, is that Augustus is in a place of just sort of like he can't understand that two truths can exist at the same time, you know?
Yeah. I have to agree with you about that, about like his character. Now, as this sane outside of his character, I'm a little on the fence with it. I do think, as a woman, I read this and it's like, to me, it's like, I think you're calling me weak. Don't do that. Like, I can do anything you can do, type of situation. No, actually, I can't, if we're being completely honest. But like in my head, I'm like, anything you can do, I can do. Don't call me weak. Because I think it's just like, when you say it's not about being weak, but you're saying I shouldn't have to, but why shouldn't I have to? Like, so I think it's more like getting to the underground issue. And I also think it depends, who are you speaking this with, right? Keith actually kind of is someone who believes this. He's always tells me, Season, now that I know you can't, is that you shouldn't have to. And there are times where I'm like, no, I can be strong too. Get out of the way. Let's do this. But then we're fucking doing high rocks, and he's like, I'll push this 300-pound something while we're already exhausted and an hour in. I'm like, fuck yeah, you can do that. I'm gonna stand behind you and like wait. So right, I think it depends on the situation that I'm in and like and what are we using it for? Like what is the content of it? I think for me is like is where it hurts or is like, yes, let's do it.
But that doesn't equate to weakness.
It doesn't, but I do think when I hear this though, I agree it doesn't. But my first, especially with like Augustus, I do think men do think maybe we're weaker, or I do think maybe it could be contributed to being weaker,
Right.
if that
I
makes
also
sense.
think too when we talk about this, it's always related to physicality,
Yep.
right? There's never the conversation about it in like other realms. And this is why we see, so much talk about how like women take on the management of relationships and like the emotional labor of households and all of those sorts of things, right? And like I've certainly done that in previous relationships and having been married. I totally took on the management of what was my marriage, you
Hmm.
know? Um And, like, now, like, being outside of that and removed from it and seeing it, I have to, like, catch myself from doing that in newer relationships. And I also have to, like it's almost like I have to, like, catch myself from refusing to receive help, even in, like, the stupidest ways, right? Like, the physical ways make it easy for us to talk about this because it's like, doubt my abilities, right? But then dumb shit, like, I'm having dinner with a partner the other night, and we like I made this little soup and it was great. And he was like, I'm gonna have another scoop or so. And I was like, oh, I'll have another scoop with you. And he offered to get me a scoop of soup. And I was like, no, I was like, no, I can do it. And I got up with him, and then we're both sitting there like standing at the pot. And I have my bowl in my hands. And I looked at him. I was like, dude, the fuck is wrong with me? And I handed him my bowl, and I was like, give me a scoop, and like went and sat back down.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like it presents itself in all of these other ways that don't have to do with just like the physical limitations, right? So like
Hmm.
men speak about it towards women, it's about physicality. And then we
Yes.
as women try to prove it in ways outside of that.
Yes. I have to agree with that. I love that. I love that you said that. I agree with that 1000%. Especially I think now with just like, I mean, in anything, like in our world, I'm trying to like, I think women are always having to prove, and I think now we might be proving more outside of being strength or outside of our strength. It is more our intelligence. We having to prove more of like, we can do this. We are mentally strong enough for X, Y, Z, and all that other stuff. So I agree with that. So yeah. And about letting someone in though too, because to your point, you're like, no, I'm gonna do this. And it was about like letting someone else like care for you, but still knowing that you're strong. So yeah. Cool. Well, that's all we have time for. So thank you for chatting with me. Next time we'll do the next 5 chapters. I believe that's 16 through 20. We'll do that. I think we hit the symposium. I think you're gonna like the symposium a little bit. Now, when I got to the symposium chapter, because the symposium is where everyone freaks off, but something else happens at the symposium. When that happened, I I just needed to know why, and so I couldn't put the book down at
Mm.
that point. Like, I just like, something happens, I was like, "I need to know why this is happening," and so I just read the end of the book, so but yeah. But we'll see where you are. But yeah.
All right. You know I'll have a pig.
Alright. I know. Okay, well, bye.
Bye.